Welcome back. We are now on page 487 and we are going to create a navigation form for the main macro that you just made, the forms and reports macro, but it's going to be accessing the sub macros that you created within that macro. So the purpose of this is to allow somebody to access pieces of your database, but they can't access anything that you don't give them permission to access. So people can't mess up your database when they don't know what they're doing. Just saying, it's a good thing to do. So the first thing we want to do is turn to page 489 and close our navigation pane. Then we want to click on Create. We're going to create a form, so form design. You want to make sure that both your add existing fields and property sheet are both closed. So now that we have our form, we then want to make sure that we have, click on your More button, Use Control Wizards should be what is selected, so it should have a pink box around it. If it does not, then click on it. If it does, then life is good and we will leave it be. And you will click on the button control. Now, that button control is going to go on the 2nd inch mark on the horizontal ruler, down just a little bit into your form, and click one time. If you did it correctly, you should now have a command button wizard menu here. This time in our categories, we will go down to our miscellaneous category. So that's just little bits and pieces of other things. And we're going to choose Run Macro. This will run the macro that you just created a couple of minutes ago. Now, from Run Macro on page 490, you're going to choose Forms and Reports dot Open Customer Master Form. So go down to Open Customer Master Form. For me, that's the 4th one down. Open Forms and Reports dot Open Customer Master Form, and then choose Next. And then from there we're going to choose Next again. First we want to choose the text option. So where it says text, we are going to change that to say Open Customer Master Form. So instead of Run Macro, it is going to say Open Customer Master Form. That's what your button will show. Now click the Next button. And in here, we're going to type the same thing but with underscores. Open underscore customer underscore master underscore form. And we do this because your code does not work with spaces. So anytime you can do this instead of a space and it works perfectly fine. So hit Finish. Now you have created your first button for this form. Now if you'll look on page 491, it tells you number 7, second bullet, to use the techniques that you just used to create the Open Customer Master Form to create 2 more buttons. So if you need to, it is on page 489, number 2, and that's where you will start if you're walking through their directions. So we're going to click on our button, and this button will be a little bit further down. So we're going to click underneath our Open Customer Master Form, still on the 2-inch mark. And we have our command. Now remember, we chose miscellaneous from our categories, and we chose Run Macro from our actions. Then choose Next, and then we will tell it to choose the report that we wanted to choose. Now if you look at page 491, the second bullet, it says that you want to place an open customer master. Scratch that. Redo. Open book rep master. Alright, if you look at the second bullet on page 491 in the middle of the paragraph, it says that this time you're going to choose an open book rep master form. So we want to go to open book rep master form, choose next, and the text is going to be open book rep master form. Open book rep master form. And then choose next. Now, just like before, you cannot have spaces and names for your code. So we're going to do open underscore book underscore rep underscore master underscore form. Alright, and then hit finish. Then you want to add a third button. So we'll click on the button again. Underneath open book rep master form, click there. Once again, miscellaneous. Once again, run macro. Choose next. So if you look at the third bullet on page 491, we want to open the rep seminar data. So we're going to open forms and reports dot open rep seminar data, and let's see, and the text is going to be op rep seminar data. So we choose next, and our button is going to be a text button, and select run macro, and we are going to tell it to open rep seminar data, and then the name of the button, choose next. The name of the button is the same thing, but with underscores instead of spaces. Now, quiz: why do we type underscores instead of spaces at this point? Oops. If you said it's because the VBA code or your Visual Basic code that you'll be working with does not accept spaces, you are correct. Now, the next thing we want to do is save our form. So we're going to click on our Save button, and according to the bullet, it says save the form using the name forms list. And say OK. And I like to save that as soon as possible. We do need to make our buttons all the same length and to make them the same space apart. So we will take open rep seminar data, spread it out till it's about the same as the others. Then we'll select all three and go to arrange, go to align, and we want to make sure that the vertical space, first we want to align left. Alright, that's important. Then we want to make sure that the vertical space is correct. Equal vertical. So it's exactly the same for all of them. Hit save again. I like to save as soon as possible because you never know what's going to go wrong. Then close the form. Now on page 492, we're going to create a menu form containing an option group. So we're going to create an option group, which makes it a little prettier, and I'm sure you're excited about that. So page 492 at the bottom, first thing you want to do is click on create, and a blank form from form design view. Make sure that you do not have a field list there, nor do you have your property sheet. make sure that your design tab is selected. Make sure that the correct, click on your more button, use control wizards is selected. And then you want to choose your option group from the controls. Now, the XYZ is your option group. Now, we want to click at about 2 inches, the same as the last form. So we'll click here and click and let go. If you did it correct, you will have option group wizard. And we get to type some label names. If you'll look on page 493, the first thing on number 3, it tells you to click, and mine's already selected there, where you want to type, which is the first line. So we will type the second bullet of number 3, preview book rip master list. And then hit the down arrow. Now, see how I don't have caps on everything? You definitely want to fix that before you move on. That way you don't forget. Next one is preview customer financial report. Alright, and arrow down, or you can click, whatever makes you happy. Next one, preview discount report, and go down. Then export book rip master list. You remember making these, right? Then export customer financial report. And then arrow down. Then export discount report. And that should be 6 rows of labels. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That way you know you've got them all. Then choose next. Now, next we want to do no, I don't want a default. In other words, people can choose whatever they want. If they choose nothing, it will have nothing. Then choose next. And this is your option group wizard, and notice that each of these are assigned a value 1 through 6. Okay, now you need to know that you're going to use these values to stand for these names in your code. So instead of typing preview book rip master list, you're going to write a piece of code that's going to let you just type in 1. Alright, and it's not as scary as it sounds, so I think you will be fine. Choose next. Alright, now we get to set up our buttons here. Before you did those 3 buttons on your own, this will allow the computer to do them all for you. Alrighty then. So we want to make sure that we have option buttons selected here, and styles is supposed to be etched, and preview book rip master list, this is the sample what it's going to look like when we're done. And let's look at the directions to make sure that we've got everything selected that we're supposed to, and it looks like it. So on page 495 it says to choose next, and the name of the group is going to be report actions. And hit finish. Now it did all these buttons for you, where before you made a button. Now we just have to click in the radio button, that circle. Alrighty, and we are going to save this as reports list and say OK. And notice that this is the last thing you type, report actions. Yes. Alright. And here is all your things that you want to click on for those report actions. And then we get to the fun stuff. Now, on page 495, it gives you the logic behind an if statement. We will be using the computer to write the if statement. So you actually aren't going to type if this then that. But this helps you understand what you're going to write, how it works. With that said, turn to page 496. Make sure you've saved, because you never know what's going to go wrong. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your option group is selected. See, mine is not, so make sure you have the orange around the entire option group. And then select your property sheet. Now, we have to name it something that we can use. Make sure that the All tab is selected. And the name is, instead of frame 0, it's going to be form_options. Form_options. Alright, no space. Recognize that. Next, on page 497, we want to slide down to the After Update button. So that's going to be down here a little bit. And I love working from this view. Okay, After Update. Whoa. Now, when you click on After Update, you now get the Build button. So click on the Build button. And we get to choose, I know you're going to love it, Macro Builder, and say OK. Alright, now you have your action catalog, and you can go ahead and collapse that so that you're starting fresh and you don't have to stress out about anything, because we're going to use different stuff. Now, if your action catalog didn't show up, remember you have this action catalog toggle right here, so you can click on it and click on it. Alright, so if it's not there, just click on action catalog. Alrighty then. And we want to expand the macro commands in the actions category. So slide down to macro commands and click on that. So now we can see the different commands that we can use. We want to choose the set temp var. So what that is saying, double click. What that is saying is that we are going to set a temporary variable. So remember at the beginning I said that we're going to have that big long name of that radio button, and it's actually we're just going to be able to type a 1. So this is where you give it that. It's going to be a temporary variable, and when it's done, it'll clear all that out. So that's why it's temporary. It's not a permanent, it's temporary. And once you write this, then the form will do it all the time on its own. You won't have to do anything else to it. So if you follow directions exactly, you will be fine. Alright? So the next thing it says, enter optno as the name. Now, this can be any name that you choose. The people who wrote the book just chose the word optno as the name for this variable because it stands for option number. So they OPT for option, NO for number. You can put anything in there you want. It needs to be something that you'll recognize when you go back and look at code. So here you have to do what the book says, but in real life, do a name that makes sense so that when you have problems or when you want to change something, it's easy for you to know exactly what does what. Alrighty then. So, and we are on the last bullet of number 3 on page 497. Now, our expression, you have to type something in there. Notice there's an equal sign already typed for you. Our expression is going to be open bracket form underscore options. Now remember, that's the name of the form we just did, right? And if you want to make sure you don't make any mistakes typing, you can double click on that box that just showed up. So it spits it in the correct name in. And you know, honestly, user error causes you so much grief in doing code, and it's usually something lame like an extra space, something's misspelled, like maybe switch the I and the O. It's usually something lame. It's usually not something difficult. So as long as the computer can do it for you and you take the human error factor down a little bit, then it will make your life a little bit easier. So page 498. Now notice on 498 there's a table with a whole bunch of stuff. We are going to use that here in just a second. So with that being said, go to page 499. Now it says, number one, double click the if element. So if you slide over here to your program flow, and here's your if. So we double click if. Alright, so now we've typed in optno as the name of this temporary variable macro, and form options is the form that we're pulling up, or we're going to use this for, and then we're going to turn the page. Alright, now if you look at the last line of number 1 of the first bullet, it has the code temp vars exclamation optno equals 1. So that is your temporary variables, and the exclamation point is required. Optno is the name of this temporary variable, and it's going to say that this is going to be equal to 1. So when you put this in a code, you can type 1 instead of temp vars exclamation optno. Okay, it'll make your code a whole lot shorter in the long run. So with that being said, once again, we're going to click in here in our if, and we will type bracket temp vars close bracket exclamation point open bracket optno close bracket equals 1. Okay, and looking at the second bullet, it says with the macro commands expanded, double click run macro. So we're going to slide down to run macro and double click. Okay, so if the opno is 1, then you're going to do this. Right? If then statements. I love the logic, and if you did programming back in the day before we had personal computers, then you will love this. Alrighty then, so we want to click on the drop down arrow for the macro name argument. So here's my macro name. Click on the down arrow. Alrighty, and we're going to select preview book rep master list. Book rep master list. And remember on that form that we just made that was equal to 1. Now in real life it would be smart to write that stuff down so you won't have to be guessing at which one was 1 and which one is 2, etc., etc. So it has to be within the forms and reports macro. So remember, you made the forms and reports macro, and then one of the sub macros was export book rep master list. So that is calling that piece of the form up, so that if that's what you need to do, that's what's going to happen. Alright, now we're going to do another one. So we're going to choose add else if. So if the answer is false, see right there, if it's true, then this is what you're going to do. If the answer is false, we're going to do add else if. Alright, add else if. Now if you'll look over at page 498 in the table 8-2, the second row on the conditions is else if temp vars exclamation point opno equals 2. So it's going to be the same thing. So bracket temp, and look, it gives it to us, yay, and then exclamation point, and then our bracket again, and we're calling optno, and make sure you do the square ones. Y'all saw what I just did, huh? Optno, and close the bracket. And now if it equals 2, right? If it equals 2, so we're going to run the macro, and this time the macro name is forms and reports preview customer. So we're going to run a macro, and the macro name is Forms and Reports Preview Customer Financial Report. Forms and Reports Preview Customer Financial Report. Alright, so we click on that, and life is grand, yes. And so now we're going to do another else if. So double click else if, or click on it once. And then we're going to call this one temp bars opno equals 3. Now, we've typed this a lot. I'm just saying, I'm thinking we can copy paste this. Why don't we try that? Op bars. Of course, I don't want to confuse anybody either. Opt no. Close the square bracket, and equals 3. Now I'm going to select this because I'm tired of typing it, and I'm going to copy it. Control C to copy. That's a shortcut. And if it confuses you, don't do it. Just keep doing like we're doing. Run macro. And now this time, number 3, looking in the book, the macro name is Forms and Reports dot Preview Discount Report. So we want Forms and Report Preview Discount Report. Excellent, right? All right, add else if. Now I cheated and I copied this, so I'm going to hit paste. And then you can just back up over it and type a 4. All right. Saves like, at least a minute, right? Alrighty then. Double click run macro. And in this case, 4 is Forms and Reports dot export book rip master list. So click on the down arrow, Forms and Report export book rip master list. Now if you choose the wrong one, you can go back and fix it, but life is so much less stressful if you get it right the first time. So it pays to double check. Alright, add else if. The next one is 5. So right click, paste it, back up over it and type a 5. Run macro. So if it is equal to 5, then it is going to choose macro name, Forms and Reports, export customer financial report. Okay, excellent. And we can slide down a little bit, and one more to go. Add else if. And I'm going to cheat and paste it, or you can type it if you want. If you pasted, back up over, make sure you change that to 6. And notice that this time the macro name is, so we have to choose run macro, correct? Yes. And the macro name is Forms and Reports export discount report. Alright, excellent. Now, we have added all that we're supposed to add. Notice that down here is the end if. So that's telling you when you're done with all of this, at the end if, we got to clear out whatever is in there. Okay? Now, you can, let's see, in the book, do not click on add else if here. Alright, that's on page 499, the very last thing of number 2. So we've typed in all 6 of these, and the last one is Forms and Reports dot export discount report. That is number 6. Alright, so just be still and turn the page to 500. Now, it wants to add a remove temp var after the end if. Okay, so after the end if, we're going to do a remove temp var. So we're going to actually remove temp var. So we're going to remove the temporary variable. And notice that it is after end if. Just make sure if it's not there, if it ended up somewhere here, it's no big deal. You just hit a down arrow and move it down. See, notice there's a down arrow. So if this was up here somewhere, I would have a down arrow to move it down. So it's no big deal if it went the wrong place. Just relax. It's fine. Make sure that end if and then remove temp var, or remove the temporary variable. See, it even tells you what it is. And it has a little thing to tell you more. Alright, so just stay calm and it's all good. And optno is the name of the variable we're going to remove. Now see, opno 5, opno 4, opno 3, okay? So whatever it is, it's going to clean it out. So it'll start over at the beginning and it's going to work for the next time through. So that wasn't so bad, was it? Hit save. And if there's a problem, it's going to let you know. Let's see. Okay, I'm leaving my error in here so you can see. Remember how I made a big deal about if there's one little thing wrong, it'll mess it all up. Do you see that? I have a curly brace there instead of a square bracket. So I'm going to fix that, and I'm glad the computer found it for me. Like I said, human error, right? So let me try to hit save now. Alright, it is not yelling at me, so I guess it is all good. Now, if you have problems, don't stress out. You just have to stop, be still, and read through each little piece one at a time. And just look very closely. You can look in your book and see what it's supposed to look like. And if it's wrong, if you look on page 500, it has it all written out there. So you can see if something's wrong, it's very easy to go in there and fix it. Alright, all I did was click up here and it opened it back up, and I clicked there and I stuck in a square bracket instead of a curly brace. And life is grand. Alrighty then. So let's go ahead and close that. And yay, we are so excited. Close the property sheet. Save the form. And then close the form. Kind of cool, right? Alright, I hope y'all have fun with this.